This is another screencast looking at the written element of Unit 3, writing and evaluation of your performance. This particular screencast is going to look at question 4. But before we go on, to remind you, there are 6 questions in this control assessment, all of which need to be answered within 3,500 words. Now, this screencast is going to focus on this question here. How did the work of established and recognised theatre practitioners and or the work of live theatre influence the way in which your devised response developed? Okay, so this question is asking you to think wider now about the influences on your performance, not just how you've used your research. Okay, so when we think about this question, there are a couple of things we need to think about. The first bit is what work of established and recognised theatre practitioners have influenced you. And notice that it's and or. You don't have to have them both, and you don't have to have practitioners. You can just have the work of live theatre. I think on most cases it is really going to be the influence of recognised theatre practitioners that's going to influence us most. And then we're going to be able to reference the work of live theatre. That's in most cases. The second element then of the question is, how did that influence your devised response? So, the very first thing I want you to do is I want you to pause the screencast and in note form answer these 3 questions. So I want you to think of the practitioners or the pieces of theatre that you have seen that have influenced your piece of theatre. And that can range from any time in your studies, from GCSE even to Key Stage 3. It doesn't have to be confined to stuff that you've done for the curriculum. Anything that you've been to see in the summertime or in your own time can count. But we need to be able to see it influencing your piece of theatre, so it needs to be relevant. Once you've done that, for each of those practitioners or live pieces of live theatre, I then want you to outline the work of that practitioner or the piece of live theatre. All right. So once you've got, say, I've got Stanislavski, Artaud, and the 39 Steps. Those were my 3 influences. So then for Stanislavski, I want you to write down an outline of the work that practitioner has done. With Artaud similarly, and then with the 39 Steps, I want you to outline what that piece of theatre was. It's even better, obviously, if you can link the live piece of theatre to that practitioner as well. So once you've got that set of notes, so you've got your list of practitioners, then for each of those practitioners you've got an outline of the kind of work that they create. And then I want you to do the final section, which is writing about how they have influenced your piece of theatre. And that, most importantly, must have direct references to the work. It must have practical examples. The examiner is going to want to see you say, we were influenced by Stanislavski. This is who he is, by the way. I do know who he is. And this is how he influenced my piece of theatre. It's not good enough, though, simply to say, because we created a naturalistic performance. You need to link his theory to your practice. So you need to be able to talk about the use of emotional memory, the use of given circumstances, and various character creating devices that he created to develop strong characters and to allow the audience to empathise with the character and why. So you need to link all of your practical work to that theory, and you need to do it in quite an in-depth way, but obviously being concise, because that's the word of this particular controlled assessment, is concise. So once you've got that set of notes, I'm giving you now an example of how you might be able to answer that question. in a paragraph. So your point might be what practitioner or piece of theatre you've seen. The evidence, therefore, is how that work has then since influenced your piece of theatre, noticing the direct references to the work. And the explanation is how does that work link to the practitioner or the live piece of theatre. So we write it the opposite way around. So the evidence, we say, I was influenced by Stanislavski. This is how I was influenced by Stanislavski. This is how it links to that practitioner. So that's a really good way of writing a paragraph that would help you answer this question. So I want you to pause the video now, and I want you to go back to this the previous slide. I've lost the slide now. This slide. I want you to go through those questions and create that set of notes so that you can take that into the controlled assessment and be ready to answer the questions. Once you've paused the video and done that, we can carry on to practice writing a practice answer for the question. So I've got two models which you can to answer here. The first one is looking simply at one paragraph, the second one looks at two. And simply the first paragraph in model one just narrows your focus onto one practitioner. But obviously, if you're going to do that, your evidence and explanation need to be that much more in depth. Model paragraph 2 allows you to focus on two practitioners, but this time, obviously, because the word count's lower, you need to be more concise, but you don't have to go into so much depth. And obviously, with this one, because you've already said, I have been influenced by this practitioner, I have also been influenced by this live performance, means you don't have to write so much about the points. Okay, so have a practice at writing the answers. Maybe again have a go at writing the two different models. Remember, when you go into the controlled assessment, you can't take your practice answers with you, but you can take all the notes that I've asked you to create in with you. Alright, so good luck.